I'd been MR CEO's secretary for 3 years, and the whole company knew I was the stand-in for his White Moon first love. The day that White Moon Serena flew home, I placed my termination notice on his desk. He shredded the pages, eyes bloodshot. "You want out that badly?" I smiled and nodded. Then I found a stack of photographs in his study, every single one of me. The date starting 10 years ago. Me on Quinn, me in the college library, me at commencement, me on my first day on payroll. 347 shots, 347 dates, 347 captions. The last one caught me sipping a latte outside Sterling last week. On the back, in tiny handwriting, "She forgot me, but I didn't forget." The day Serena landed, the entire building knew. The news came from receptionist, who pinged the group chat. Supposedly she arrived in an ivory power suit and 12-centimeter stilettos, gliding straight into the executive penthouse suite's private lift. She never even tapped her badge. Receptionist's message was a fireworks string of exclamation marks. CEO's private elevator. First time I've seen anyone write it in 3 years. No one answered. We were all waiting to see whether the doors would open to Serena alone, or to Serena on CEO's arm. I stood in the breakout pantry, cradling my coffee, watching the text scroll. Heard she's back from France, parachuting in as design director. She's design royalty, left for CEO to polish her craft. CEO just went down. I darkened the screen and slid the cup into the sink. Ethan really had gone down. He greeted her in the grand atrium himself. From the pantry window I could see his car at the curb, his jacket unbuttoned, the breeze flicking his tie. When Serena stepped out, he took one step forward. Just one. In 4 years of knowing him, 3 of working beside him, I had never seen him take an extra step for anyone. The time I sprained my ankle limping files to the boardroom, he merely glanced up, put them on the table. I did, then hailed my own cab to St. Camilla's Hospital. Dr. Peterson said torn ligaments, 3 days rest. I clocked in the next morning. Ethan's calendar was jammed. The temp couldn't hack his rituals. Coffee at 185F, documents in his numbered sequence. Meetings dialed to the minute. No one could replace me. Just like no one could replace Serena. I looked down at my black pencil suit, the standard issue uniform, hair knotted low, makeup subdued. 3 years, every day in black. Because Serena loved white, I forfeited the right. I learned that on my first day on payroll. After the interview, HR pulled me aside. CEO has wardrobe preferences, be careful. I assumed business formal. Later I understood, avoid white. Once I blundered in a white blouse. Ethan's eyes held something colder than anger, disdain. Change it. 2 words. I reversed the blouse in the restroom, layered my blazer on top, and counted the hours until 6. Since then, my closet has held 0 white. Luna. Pa hovered in the doorway, voice hushed. CEO wants you upstairs. I hummed, swiped on lipstick, not to see Ethan, to see Serena. I refused to let her catch a single crack. The penthouse felt brittle. Serena occupied the sofa, Ethan the armchair, a coffee table between. 2 cups, his black brew, her latte. She knew his ritual, he knew hers. I tapped the jam. CEO. Ethan lifted his gaze, neutral. Luna, Serena's just back, handle her onboarding. Certainly. I turned. Welcome back, Miss Sterling. Serena smiled, eyes crescent. Flawless porcelain skin, carved features, a hothouse bloom beside a 3-year office weed camouflaged in concealer. Luna, thanks for everything. Ethan's impossible. Surviving 3 years must mean you're brilliant. My job. I stepped out when Ethan stopped me. Wait. He fished a midnight blue velvet box from his inside pocket and slid it across the table. For you. Serena opened it, a star-shaped diamond necklace. You remembered. Loved it then, still do. His voice carried a warmth I'd never heard, soft as candle wax. I hovered, suddenly superfluous, a spent band-aid peeled away once the cut closes. Luna? Serena peered up. Maybe I froze too long, sorry, daydreaming. I smiled. I'll bring the paperwork this afternoon. This time I didn't look back. As the elevator sealed, I saw Serena rise, bend, brush a kiss onto his forehead. He didn't flinch. I leaned against the cab wall, my hands shook. Not from heartbreak, from recall. Because on my own first day on payroll, I had worn a white sundress. Ethan interviewed me, stone-faced, yet ended with, "White suits you." Next day I switched to black. I thought it was policy. Now I knew, only Serena deserved his favorite color. At 2 o'clock I returned with the contracts. Serena was gone. Ethan scowled at his monitor. I laid the folder down. Miss Sterling's seat is on the design floor. Let me know if you want changes. 18 is too low, move her to 20. 20 house the vice president's, currently vacant. That needs new clearance, could take 2 days. So take them. Until then she can use my office. I paused, understood. He was already typing. Case closed. I stayed. Something else? Mr. CEO, what? That I drank 3 years of bitter black because you do. That I wished you'd taken one step for me? That I'm tired of midnight emails and colorless closets. I swallowed the flood nothing. I smiled. I'll process her badge. As I turned he spoke, Luna. I stopped. You've been with me 3 years, yes? Anything you want? Call it a bonus. I rotated slowly. Anything? He nodded. Then I quit. Silence clung for 3 beats. He looked up. This time I caught the flicker something trampled. Say that again. I resign. I drew the envelope from my bag and set it on his desk. Plain paper for terse words. Reason personal. He skinned without touching. Why? CEO, you just said 3 years is a long run. I'd like a different view. Because of Serena? The question was bare-knuckled. I exhaled a laugh. Do you want the truth, sir? His stare answered for him. Yes and no, I said. I just realized that some things can't be changed, no matter how hard you try. Like making him look at me 1 extra second. Like making him remember that I also drink hot lattes, not black coffee. Like making him know that the white sundress I wore to the interview 3 years ago wasn't an accident or had told me CEO likes white. For 3 straight years I worked to turn myself into his most capable assistant, his most reliable tool. But a tool is always just a tool. Ethan stood up, rounded the desk, and stopped in front of me. He was tall. I had to tip my head to meet his eyes. I disagree. He picked up the resignation letter, tore it in half, and dropped the pieces into the trash. The motion was gentle, as if he were disposing of a useless sticky note. You. I stared, momentarily speechless. Serena's return doesn't affect your job, he said, voice back to its usual chill. Design director is design director, secretary is secretary to different things. I know they're to different things, I answered. That's exactly why I'm quitting. Luna, he spoke my name. For the first time in 3 years he said my name. Not Luna, but Luna. You really want to leave that badly? His voice was a little hoarse, as though something had caught in his throat. But I knew it wasn't because he would miss me. It was only because a good secretary is hard to replace. CEO, I said, taking a step back. You can tear up 1 copy, I'll write a second. Tear the second and I'll draft a third. The labor contract law says 30 days written notice ends the contract. His eyes narrowed. I'd seen that danger signal before. Ethan did it whenever he was displeased. Are you threatening me? I'm resigning, I corrected. That's 2 different things. We stared at each other for several seconds. In the end he looked away first. Suit yourself. He returned to his chair and turned to his monitor. Handle the paperwork with HR, follow standard procedure. Morgan. I walked out and pulled the door shut gently. The corridor was empty, sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows, warm and bright. I stood at the glass, gazing at the traffic far below, and suddenly felt light. Not painless 3 years, even a cat would be hard to give up, let alone a person. But mostly, relief. Starting today, I can wear white again. When the elevator reached the lobby my phone buzzed. A courier text, package waiting at the Grand Atrium, please sign. I went to receptionist, scribbled for a small box, sender line blank. Back at my desk, I slit the tape with a box cutter. Inside lay a stack of photographs. The moment I lifted the first one my fingers froze. It was me, high school me, ponytail, school uniform, laughing by the gate. On the back, ink slightly faded, 2015.9.1, Quinn, she has a pretty smile. I turned to the second, again me, in the college library, head bent over a book. The 3rd of November 2018, she likes the window seat, 3rd. My commencement, cap and gown, diploma on hand. The 20th of June 2020, she graduated. 4th. My first day on payroll, wearing that white sundress, standing outside Sterling. The 1st of March 2021, she arrived. 5th. 6th. 7th. Every single shot was of me. Dates stretching from 10 years ago to the present. Each back carried a line noting date, place, what I was doing. The final print was taken last week, me outside the cafe downstairs, holding a latte, waiting for the light. The 18th of February 2024, she still drinks lattes like me. And in the corner, smaller, as if added after hesitation, she forgot me, but I didn't forget her. I stared at that line, my mind went white. Who took these pictures? Who followed me for 10 years? Who? Did I forget? A second courier text, another package, this time a sender name. I opened it, a white velvet box. Inside lay a necklace, a star-shaped diamond pendant. Identical to the one Ethan had given Serena that afternoon. No, not identical. At the bottom of the box, a slip of paper, handwriting. There are 2 stars, one for her, she needs the stage. One for you because you're the real one. Luna, don't you remember me at all? I clutched the necklace, my hand began to shake. What am I supposed to remember? 2015 Quinn, 2018 library, 2020 commencement, 2021 first day. These 10 years I thought my life had been ordinary, step by step. Now someone tells me a person shadowed me for a decade, snapped thousands of prints, memorized every date, while I don't even know what he looks like. I flipped back to the first photo and stared at the girl in uniform, ponytail, bright smile. 15-year-old Luna laughing at something. What happened that day? I racked my brain but drew only blank pages, as if someone had ripped the opening chapters from a book and left the later page numbers intact. What did I forget? Whom did I forget? The office lights hummed overhead, the photos scattered across the desk. I looked at the white velvet box and suddenly recalled. On the day of my interview 3 years ago, Ethan had asked, "Why do you want to work here?" I answered, "Because I admire Sterling. He studied me so long I thought I was done for." Then he said something odd, as expected. "You don't remember." At the time I thought he meant something else. Now I know it wasn't something else. It was everything I had lost about him. I took 3 days off. Or gave me a curious look, probably assuming Serena's return had driven me away. I didn't explain. I filled the form and left. The photos and the necklace went into my backpack and rode home with me. Once inside, I spread every print on the bed, arranging them by date. From 2015 to 2024, 10 years, 347 photographs. Not every month, but every year, some clustered, some sparse. 2015 had the most, 3 or for a month, 2016 fewer, 2017 surged again. 2018 spiked around college enrollment, 2020 peaked at graduation. After I joined Sterling in 2021, the count thinned. Like a heartbeat, quick when close, slower when distant, but never stopping. I sat cross-legged and studied them one by one. In Dylan pictures, another girl always stood beside me, her face scribbled out. Not by me, the prints came that way. Black marker obliterating the features while leaving the outline still. The silhouette showed a girl with a ponytail like mine. In college shots, more faces were inked out, classmates. Strangers, except one male figure whose face was never touched, always half-turned, aback. A profile, a blur, never full-on. Never. As if the photographer avoided his face on purpose or was protecting something. The build, shoulder width, the way he walked looked like Ethan. Impossible. Everyone in the company knew Ethan went abroad for high school. Returned at 22 to head Sterling. And by 25 had the firm in the industry's top 3. His timeline didn't intersect my Dylan or my college years. I grabbed my phone, scrolled to a saved contact, Maya. My closest friend back then. We hadn't spoken in ages, but the number remained. It rang 3 times before she picked up. "Luna?" Maya sounded delighted and stunned. "Why the sudden call?" "It's been forever. Maya, I need to ask you something." "Shoot." During Dylan, did I have a best friend, someone I was with every single day? Silence stretched a few beats on the other end. "Luna, why are you suddenly asking about this? Just answer me." "There was someone." Maya's voice turned odd. "Freshman year, you and Sterling." She broke off. "Sterling who?" "And nothing." She gave a dry laugh. "It was so long ago, I can't really remember. You had lots of friends back then. I couldn't tell you exactly who." She was lying. I've known Maya 15 years. She always dry laughs when she lies. "Maya," I said, "Lo, tell me, does this have to do with Ethan?" Something clattered to the floor on her end. How do you even know that name?" My heart skipped. "You know Ethan, Maya drew a shaky breath. "Luna, you really don't remember?" "Remember what?" Silence. So long I thought she'd hung up. "Luna," she whispered, like sharing a secret that couldn't be overheard. "Some things are better left forgotten." "Maya, listen." She cut me off. "You were in an accident. The doctors called it selective amnesia. Your mom begged me not to tell you the past. She was afraid it would hurt you all over again. So I kept quiet." "Accident?" June 8, 2017. Maya's voice trembled. "You and he." She stopped again. "He?" "Ethan." "Luna, please stop." She was almost crying. "I don't know why you're asking now, but I promised your mom I won't say it." "Maya, I'm sorry." She hung up. I called back, phone off. I sat on the bed, cell clenched in icy fingers. June 8, 2017. I scrolled to June in my photo gallery. May looked normal, me in class, on the track, in the cafeteria. June 5th, me at the school gate, expectant. June 6th, me in a flower shop holding white daisies. June 7th, me in a white sundress, hair loose, only a half body shot, location unknown. Then nothing. June ended, July began. July 1st, me in a hospital bed, gauze around my head, face bloodless. On the back he'd written, July 15th, 2017, she woke up, she doesn't know me. Exact words as the note in my necklace box. I stared until my fingers shook. The manhood shadowed me. 10 years Ethan. The faces he'd blacked out, the blurred silhouettes he'd shot on purpose, the cramped lines on every print reversed. 2015 to now. 10 years. He'd photographed me 10 years. Known me 10 years, and I remembered nothing. I opened his contact, thumb hovering, then locked the screen. No, not yet. First I needed to know, what part did Serena play? Maya had said, "You and Sterling." Sterling what? Ethan or Serena? I reopened the albums, searched 2015, freshman year. In those prints, the girl whose face was scratched out had Serena's build, same height, same slenderness, same ponytail. But Serena's a year older, she should have been a grade above. Why appear in my high school pictures? I pulled up her resume online. Sparse, but one line, Eastbrook High my school, she been my senior. So her and Ethan, I kept digging. His resume was spotless, Briarwood, then LSE, then back to the States. No overlap with Serena on paper. Yet she shows up at Sterling, he meets her personally, gives her a necklace, says, "You still love this, I never forgot." They know each other, have known each other for years. Then where was I? What role did I play? My phone chimed WhatsApp. "Ethan, 3 days off is too long, come in tomorrow." I stared, typed, deleted, retyped. Finally, CEO, my termination notice isn't processed, I'm technically not on payroll. He replied instantly, "I never approved it, tearing up my resignation letter isn't a legal refusal." I wrote, "Luna, since when do you quote the law to me? Since you started tearing up my things." A full minute passed, then a voice message. I hesitated, tapped play. His voice low, hoarse, like something caged. "Luna, come back, let's talk." Talk about what? 10 years of photographs. The words on their backs? Why you gave the star necklace to Serena, then an identical one to me, or about June 8, 2017, I didn't answer. Threw the phone on the bed, splashed water on my face in the bathroom. Mirror me, sallow skin, bruised eyes, cracked lips. Cold water stung. I shivered, but my head cleared. Some things I had to learn on my own. Next morning I left early. Not to Sterling, to Eastbrook High. 10 years had remodeled it, new wings, new turf, but the old gate remained. The one from my Quinn Day photo. I stood underneath, fishing for memories, nothing. Like someone had hit delete on my high school life, I slipped inside, found the school archives. The custodian asked who I was. I said Alan, looking for old class rosters. He squinted, decided I looked harmless, and waved me in. 2 hours of dusty boxes until I unearthed the 2015 freshman lists. Class 1, 2, 3, Class 5, Luna. I scanned for Ethan. 0. No Sterling in the whole grade. I checked again, same result. I closed the book and sagged back. Ethan hadn't attended my high school. Then who was in those pictures? The shape, the gait, the silhouette. If not Ethan, who? My phone rang, a known caller. "Hello, Luna? I'm Mr. CEO's chauffeur. He asked me to pick you up. He's waiting at the usual place." "Usual place?" The chauffeur hesitated. "CEO says you'll know." Mind blank. I don't even know what Ethan and I were. How would I know any usual place? But just as I started to say so, an image flashed, a small lake, willow-lined, with a gazebo at its center. Gone in an instant. "Rowan?" The chauffeur prompted. "I know." The words slipped out. "I'll be there." I hung up, stared at the gray sky beyond the gate. The lake scene surfaced again, dripping like something dredged from deep water. I don't recall where it is, but my body does. My feet know which way to walk, which cab to hail, which address to say. A dream that slept 10 years suddenly opened its eyes. And the man inside it has sat by that water, waiting a decade. No one else is at the lake. March wind bites, willow buds flicker yellow, the gazebo floats empty. Ethan stands on the bank, back to me, coat unbuttoned and whipping in the gusts. In his hand, something flat and pale, an envelope. I walked over, my steps on the flagstones soft, but he still heard. He didn't turn around. "You came," he said. His voice was calm, as though he'd expected it. "Why did you ask me here?" I stopped 2 paces behind him, no closer. "You've already remembered something, haven't you?" He finally turned and looked at me. His eyes were red, not the red of crying, but of no sleep. Purple-blue shadows underneath, stubble along his jaw. I had never seen Ethan like this. At Sterling he was forever impeccable, suit pressed, hair combed to the millimeter, tie pin aligned. Now he stood in the wind, coat rumpled, collar open, looking like a man who'd waited all night. "I haven't remembered," I said. "I only saw the photographs you took." His expression shifted. Not surprised, something more convoluted. As if someone had peeled back a scar he wanted hidden. "You saw them?" 347, I said. "From 2015 until now." He said nothing. "Ethan, I called first time without Mr. CEO. You've followed me for 10 years? The wind gusted, rippling the lake. He stared at me so long I thought he wouldn't answer. "Not 10 years, he said. "Then what?" 11 years and 3 months, he said quietly. "From your first day of Quinn until now." My breath stalled. 11 years and 3 months. How many days? Over 4,000, one person spending 4,000 days. Remembering another 3,000 plus photographs. Who knows how many nights writing words. What do you call it? Devotion, obsession? Or an 11-year monologue of self-pity? "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "Tell you what?" He gave a bitter smile. "Tell you who I am? You don't even remember who I am. Then tell me." My voice cracked open. "Tell me what happened in 2017. Tell me who Serena is. Tell me why I forgot you while you remember everything." Wind poured down my throat. I coughed twice. Ethan stepped forward, hand half raised to pat my back, then pulled it back. Do you remember once coming here, sitting in the pavilion reading? He asked suddenly. No. April 17th, 2016, Sunday, 15 o'clock, he recited, precise as a rehearsed script. White hoodie, messy bun, Kigo Higashino's asterisk, the miraculous journey of Edward Tulane asterisk. Halfway through you cried, snot and all. Hen fumbled in your pocket for tissues and couldn't find any. You were nearby? I was fishing across the lake. He pointed. You cried so loud the fish fled. I couldn't speak. Then you spotted me. The corner of his mouth lifted. You snarled, what are you looking at? I said, you cry ugly. You hurled the book at me, then? It landed in the water. He shrugged. You panicked, stomped the bank, I jumped in and fetched it. You jumped. A flash burst in my mind, a boy emerging from the lake, holding a sodden book, hair plastered to his face, water dripping off his chin then gone, too quick to catch. After that, every time you came, I was here, Ethan went on. You called me a lingering ghost. I asked if you owned the lake. You threatened to call the cops. I said they don't mediate crushes. And then you stopped driving me off. He gazed at the water. You read in the pavilion. I fished from shore. Sometimes you gossiped about the novel, school rumors, mom's latest cram class edict. I talked that much? Plenty. He looked down. So much I later needed years to get used to quiet. The wind died. The lake smoothed into a mirror, reflecting the gray sky. June 8, 2017, I said, inhaling. What happened? His shoulders tensed. You sure you want to hear? I'm sure. My birthday, he said. You'd promised to celebrate, told me to meet you here. You bought white daisies, wore a white sundress. The ones in the pictures. I arrived, you weren't here. His voice faltered. I called, no answer. I searched and found you in a roadside ditch, blood all over your head. He stopped. Your bike lay nearby, back wheel still spinning, he continued. Someone hit you and ran. So you? I carried you to the hospital, he cut in. 3 kilometers, 15 minutes, you kept bleeding, kept calling my name. Ethan, it hurts, I don't want to die, and his voice broke. What did I say? You said, I haven't even confessed to you yet. Wind stirred the willows. I stood before him, something cracking inside my head, thin at first, deep, like the initial fracture across ice, a soft splitting sound traveling outward. You were unconscious 37 days, he said. When you woke you knew your mom, your friends, everyone except me. The doctors called it selective amnesia, he went on, tone flat, as if discussing a stranger. Your brain erased that period, self-protection, maybe, or the memories were too painful. So you stayed away? Your mom begged me. He met my eyes. They said forgetting was best, you still had college entrance season, college, a normal life ahead. If I showed up, you might remember and break again. You agreed? I did. He nodded. Because she got on her knees. My hands began to tremble. I promised to vanish, he said. But I couldn't. So I took pictures, from far away. Without you knowing. College too, he said. I knew which school, that you liked the window seat, that you cycled through 3 roommates. That you raised a cat sophomore year and cried 3 days when it ran off. You knew everything? Everything. He smiled faintly. At commencement I stood in the last row, you looked perfect in the gown. I shut my eyes. Tears slid down, I didn't wipe them. And Serena? I opened them again. Who is she? Why are you so good to her? Ethan's face changed, something I couldn't read, anger tangled with exhaustion. You've guessed, haven't you? He asked. I have. She was your classmate, Ethan said. Freshman year you were close, later she learned about me and started copying you. Copying me? Same clothes, same hair, your phrases, he said. After the accident she had surgery, went to Briarwood, turned up in front of me. She remodeled herself into me, yes. Wind whipped past, I shivered. She knew you'd lost your memory, knew I wouldn't approach, Ethan said. She offered to stand in to ease my pain. You accepted? I never accepted, he said. But I never refused. Why? Because she resembled you, he closed his eyes. Her profile when she laughed, her exact stride, the way she stirred latte foam just like yours. But she isn't me. No, he said, looking at me. She isn't you? The star necklaces, I asked. You gave her one and me one, what does that mean? He pulled an envelope from his pocket and handed it over. Inside was a photograph of a star, not a diamond, a real star in the night sky, tiny yet bright. On the back of the photo it said : double quotes for .17.2016. You pointed at the star and said it was your favorite. You said if only there were two, one for you, one for me. That was our first date, Ethan said. The day you tossed the book. I stared at the photo, my hand shaking harder and harder. Later I had 2 necklaces made, he went on. One for her, to play her part. One for you, for when you came back. How did you know I would come back? I didn't, he said. But I'd already waited 11 years, I could keep waiting. I stood in front of him, wind whipping my hair across my face, blinding me. Yet I still saw his eyes were rimmed red. Ethan was crying. Not loud, dramatic sobs, just tears sliding from the corners of his eyes while he turned his head away so I wouldn't see. "What are you crying for?" I asked. "I was thinking," he rasped, barely audible. "What if you never remember? What do I do then? Keep taking pictures?" "Keep taking them," he said, "until I can't lift the camera anymore. And after that? Then I'll keep shooting in the next life." I studied him, this man who in the boardroom was forever cool and composed, now standing in the wind like a child left behind for far too long. Suddenly something inside my head shattered. Not cracked, shattered. Splinters flew, carrying light, sound, color. I saw a boy at the school gate, bubble tea in hand, waiting an hour for me. I saw him jogging on the track. I walked past on purpose, pretending not to know him. I saw him fishing at the lakeside while I read in the pavilion, sneaking glances. I saw him leap into the lake to fetch my book, surface grinning, say, "You owe me a novel." I saw his birthday me on a bicycle, clutching white daisies, wearing a white sundress, pedaling to find him. I saw a car, fast, bright, rushing at me. I saw myself crumpled in a drainage ditch, blood seeping into my eyes, everything blurred. Yet I heard my own voice. "Ethan, I hadn't even told you I like you. I like you. I've liked you since the first second I saw you. Don't leave. Please don't leave, okay?" Tears blurred everything. I crouched, hugging my knees, crying too hard to speak. Ethan walked over and knelt in front of me. Without a word, he slipped off his coat and draped it around my shoulders. It carried his scent-faint cedar, exactly like the boy at the gate holding bubble tea all those years ago. "I remember," I said, looking up. His eyes were bloodshot, tear tracks still on his cheeks. "Remember what?" he asked. "Your birthday," I said. "I wrote to find you, wanting to say what?" "That I like you." Tears streamed down again. I reached out, wiped them away. The moment my fingers touched his cheek, his hand rose, covering mine. Gripping tight, 11 years too late, he whispered, "I'm sorry, don't apologize." He pressed my palm to his face. "You came back, that's enough. Ethan, there are 2 stars, one for me, one for you, The one you gave her, I want it back." He smiled. Not the polite, distant smile he wore in conference rooms, but a real one, eyes curving, tiny wrinkles at the corners. "Okay," he said, "I'll get it back. Tomorrow, go now, right now." I stood, pulling him up with me. "I'm scared she'll start another act." He staggered, legs numb from kneeling. I steadied him. He didn't let go. "Luna," he said. "Yeah? You won't forget again, will you?" I met his gaze. The teenager at the gate with bubble tea. Waiting an hour. The man at the lakeside in an oversized coat. Waiting 11 years. "I won't," I said. "Not this time." 3 days later, Sterling Industries dropped a bombshell. Serena was terminated. Reason: submission of false credentials. Office gossip swirled her diploma. Resume: even her name were fake. She wasn't a Sterling, wasn't Serena. Wasn't some overseas design prodigy. She was Luna's high school classmate. Born Ellis, 30 grand of plastic surgery, all paid by Ethan, not out of love. She'd agreed to a role play the part of first love in front of Luna. Make Luna believe Ethan's heart belonged to another, nudge Luna to walk away. To be completely disillusioned. Ethan later said it was the final promise he'd made to Luna's parents. "If she leaves on her own, it proves she feels nothing for me," he explained. "Then I'll let go." But hadn't she left on her own? She'd submitted her resignation letter. She'd placed it on his desk and whispered, "I'm tired." Yet the moment she received those photos, she'd run back to him. She hadn't let go, and neither had he. Serena, no. Ellis left the building on her last day and crossed the grand atrium where I stood. She looked at me, expression unreadable. "You win," she said. "This isn't a contest. You know why I hated you?" Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Freshman year. I liked him and he liked you. You didn't have to lift a finger, he only had eyes for you. I did everything, he never even glanced. So you reshaped yourself into me." "Yes," a bitter smile tugged at her lips. "I thought becoming you would make him look. But he wasn't seeing me, he was seeing you. Even wearing your face, he still saw only you." With that she walked away. Stiletto struck marble, click, click, fading into the distance. I stayed where I was, suddenly feeling sorry for her, but pity was the last thing she wanted. 6 months later, Ethan and I returned to that same lake. The willows were green again, the pavilion freshly painted, ducks drifted across the water. He fished from the bank. I read in the pavilion just like 11 years before. Yet everything was different because this time he wasn't fishing for trout. He pulled a small box from his pocket and flipped it open, a simple silver ring, no designer logo, its inner rim engraved. I lifted it and read, April 17, 2016, forever. From the day she tossed the book to always. "You still owe me a novel," he called back to me. "Which one?" "The one you hurled into the lake," he said. "The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. I'll buy you a replacement." "No need," he turned, grinning. "Just promise me one thing." "What?" "Don't throw this one in." I laughed. "Deal," I said. No more tossing. Wind skimmed the surface, willow branches trailed ripples. He reeled in, walked over, sat beside me. I leaned on his shoulder, flipping through the new copy of Edward Tulane. Midway, a photo slipped out taken the day I'd thrown the book. In it I stood on the bank, stomping, mouth wide open, probably cursing him. On the back he'd written, "My favorite shot because from this day, you knew me." I turned it over and added beneath, "My favorite day because from this moment, I loved you." Ethan glanced at the lines, said nothing, but he smiled. A brilliant smile just like the boy who broke the lake's surface 11 years ago, waving my soaked novel and teasing that I owed him a story.